More thoughts about suffering. I know I recorded a video not long ago about suffering. Don't even remember what it said. But I've got more thoughts about suffering. And it's inevitable that on this planet that we suffer. We can experience suffering. We go into difficult situations. People come to us with their own unresolved psychology. Some of it's quite aggressive, some of it's manipulative, defensive, whatever. It hits us, we suffer, we experience suffering. But see, now here's the key. It's all just an experience, all of it. The suffering even, that's just an experience. And we can choose, just like that, to stop experiencing suffering. It's just a choice. So there's nothing wrong per se as going into it, because it's just something you're experiencing. It's something we can learn from, and it's something that is stored up inside ourselves that just needs to ooze out of us. Like, I think the deeper the trauma, the deeper the unresolved trauma we have lying somewhere inside of our psyche, inside of our hearts, inside of us somewhere, it's important to allow that feeling, that it's awful, the feeling of suffering. It's not nice. It's not a nice experience. Suffering can come through in many shapes or forms. It can come through in depression, in feeling overwhelmed, or feeling incredibly anxious about, something, the future and so on. Like, it can come through in anger, anger in response, and it can come through a sense of, feeling isolated, paralyzed. There are so many ways to suffer. Like, they say life's like a box of chocolates. Like, wow, it's like a smorgasbord with suffering. We can have a smorgasbord of suffering. But like I said, it's really, the more you work through all of your consciousness and keep resolving bit by bit, the easier it gets to make that instant choice. Like, I'm done with this. I don't. It's just an experience, and I don't want to suffer anymore. We can imagine all manner of experiences that are just could be described as like just horrific, unbearable, things we see being done to other people, to children and so on. Is it going to help us or them if we suffer? If we're in a really, really difficult experience personally, is it really going to help us in the long term to stay in that suffering? It's not. It's not that. Again, there's nothing wrong with it. It's a part of the process, but it's also, the power lies in that moment when we go, I've had enough. I've had enough of this. There's got to be another way. There's got to be something more than, what I'm experiencing. Like, yeah, sure, my world around me has caved in. My inner world is in absolute turmoil, but there's got to be more. And the wonderful thing is all we need to do is just ask for help. Now, you don't have to ask someone specific. Like, for me, I go directly to the Ascended Masters, and I ask, masters like Jesus or Saint Germain, Gautama Buddha, Mother Mary. There's so many masters I could ask for help, but that's what I do. I go specifically to the masters, and sometimes it's just a general, like, beloved masters, help me here, But you don't have to address the masters. You can just when you ask a higher source for help, the higher source will answer. You don't need to know who it is or what it is. There were, you know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, like I didn't know exactly who I was asking, but I would just ask God, you know, like you just ask whatever it is that's that higher source, something, you know, the beings that, or the consciousness rather, that you just sense is something higher than your own, that's something that can help. I mean, why else do people go into this deep prayer in a moment of, you know, crisis? Because somewhere inside of us we know there is, that we will be heard, that, you know, our prayers are going somewhere. Like people who, you know, haven't been spiritual their whole lives, they will do this, you know, it's not uncommon. So when we're experiencing that suffering and we ask for that help, then the answers come, you know, it just comes immediately. So, you know, yesterday I went through my own experiences, and I could feel a lot of intense suffering coming up. I was sort of on the receiving end of a lot of intense psychic projections, and I found it very disturbing, and it's something that I have been quite susceptible to in the past, you know, just when beings like people are sending negative messages at you, but they don't do it directly with their thoughts, you know, with their mouths, like it, but you can feel it. You know how you can just feel it when someone's sort of, you know, attacking you, but or manipulating you, but, you know, they're not actually saying it, and so it's like, damn, I haven't got the proof, you know, and there's nothing you can do about it. So that's what it was, and it was really unsettling me. But then, you know, I just centered myself, and I thought, you know, I've got to let this go, and I asked for help, and then a great teaching from Kuan Yin, who is master of like mercy and compassion for humankind. You know, she talked about suffering and sort of just what I've just talked about, and I realised, you know, the projections, they're just an experience. Other people who are sending these projections, that's just their experience. The way I've been feeling, that's my experience, and I can choose to respond to this differently. I can just choose to drop it, let it go, like, you know, who cares? Who cares what other people think? Who cares what they do? You know, and who cares? Like, I just don't care for this experience of suffering. It's not going to help me. You know, I've been through it enough. 56 years old, you know, getting closer to 57, and I don't need it. I don't want it. So so is suffering necessary? Yes and no. Yes and no. While we're on the planet, there's a yes to that answer, but also no, we can choose to not suffer anymore. So if you're wanting some answers, like, that's my suggestion. You can we have a choice. We always have a choice to be or not to be.